Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody are well. And before I start to introduce my today's episode, I would like to thank everybody for all these beautiful comments that they left for me regarding previous episode or present episode, which is Euphorbia Susana. Today, I would like to introduce you to one of the most unique caudiciform succulent, which is native to Eastern Cape in South Africa, known as Euphorbia stellata. This unique succulent generally grows in the district of the Port Elizabeth and Albany. This is the two different sections of the Eastern Africa, Eastern Cape, that this plant has a habitat. This succulent is generally a small caudiciform that branches that grows like a medusa plant, medusa head. Medusa is another variety of the caudiciform succulent from South Africa that you see it in this screen. So this plant has the same type of the shape. The caudix is generally like a turnip shaped. It's like a root, grow up to 15 centimeter tall and approximately 7 centimeter diameter. Generally, there are two ways this caudix grows. Either is a single caudix and pretty much no any complex, which generally grows when the plant is out of the propagation of the seed, or create a caudiciform complex, which you see in these pictures in the bottom, that they are more complex, more than one. These are generally out of the cutting, which takes very, very many years to grow to this shape or this size. This plant generally grows between the pebbles, and the caudix is hidden inside of the soil. So therefore, since the caudix or body of the plant are more inside of the ground or inside of the pot, there is not much of the water needed for this plant, because this plant generally become very much dry and heat tolerant, and they don't need too much water. Most of the collectors enjoys growing this plant because it is unique tuberoses rootstock, as you see. The branches on this plant generally grows from central head of the caudix, often reaching up to 15 centimeter long, and typically on each branches there are two ribs across from each other, which you see, and the leaves or branches are approximately 1 inch the most wide. The flower of this plant generally are very, very tiny, so propagation of the flowers is a little difficult, and the color of the flowers are generally yellow. Growing this plant from the seed is a challenge, and holding this plant requires a pretty good amount of light and also once or twice a year fertilization only in the summer, not any another season. This particular caduciform, Euphorbia stellata, is extremely very slow growing plant. There are two ways, as I have said, to grow this plant, either from cutting or seed. As you see in this particular one, this is a cutting plant that is just started it growing caddis right there. And these are the branches, as you see. The branches on this plant generally are not all the same size. Some of them are become very long, like here, and some of them are shorter. So there is not any rule that all the leaves has to be the same size. Although this plant is difficult to hold and propagate, but it's among the very, very good variety of the Euphorbia and generally very rare. You have to bring this to the consideration that this plant follows the same rule as every single member of the Euphorbia family, which they have a sap. So working with this plant, especially when you do the cutting on the branches to propagate, you have to be very careful, have a gloves and a goggle or glasses to protect your hand or your eyes, because the white sap is pretty much unhealthy and dangerous to your eyes. And if it drops on your skin, it will create some sort of creation, itching, and altogether very uncomfortable situation. As I have mentioned earlier, in order to do this plant from the cutting, generally you cut the branch, you let it callus for a few days, and then you place it into the soil. The soil generally has to be a mixture of the pumice, peat moss, a little bit of the sand, and perlite. And after a while that the plant start rooting and became strong, as you see in this particular one, see, now the root has been established. So what you do in order to create the codex, you have to cut the leaves to send the energy back into the plant to create this shape of codex. These are a very technical but very good plant, so therefore it is worth to spend time on them. And it is very valued plant in the market, and generally not very easy to find the big sizes like this particular one on the screen. I have to mention to you that this plant also has a tendency of handling the cold during the winter time as low as -6 Celsius if the plant is dry. Try not to water this plant during the winter and keep it in a very dry site. And springtime, expose it more into the area that gets a good lighting and heat. I recommend to everybody who has this plant or loves to grow this plant that this plant should be repotted every 2 years. So these are all about this particular unique caduciform succulent. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Please also share my videos with others in order for me to get more subscribers to continue producing more video. I would like you to contribute this to me by sharing my video with others or recommending my channel to your friends and relatives. And again, thank you very much for your wonderful comment.